MGF's F55 spreader frames have a capacity for lifts up to 55 tons, offered in rectangular or square frames with spans from 2 to 10 meters in either direction. With increments of 0.25 meters, the modular equipment is cost-effective and the ideal solution for most lifting operations. F55 spreader frames consists of 4 corner units, with modular spreader extensions bolted in between to suit the requirements of the lift. The principal use of a spreader frame is to prevent the load being lifted from experiencing compressive forces that would be generated by multi-leg slings at an angle which could crush and damage the item. The spreader frame absorbs this load and provides vertical slings to support the lift about its center of gravity. Please refer to MGF website or technical guide for the capacities at different spans and chain angles. Check the ID plates on each component to ensure the correct lengths are used. Arrange the extensions and corner attachments in the correct configuration, ensuring that the longest extensions are central. Refer to the user guide for extension combinations. Check for debris between the flanges, before connection, to ensure the end plates sit perfectly flush with one another. Bolt the components together, using M20 bolts, nuts, and washers provided. It is recommended to loosely bolt all components together, prior to fully tightening. Once the entire frame is assembled, tighten all bolts to a minimum torque of 240 Nm. Ensure they remain tight before each lifting operation. Insert a suitably rated top sling onto the body of the upper shackles, and place the jaw of the top shackle over the corner unit. Insert pin through the hole in the shackle and corner attachment, then tighten the pin in place. Repeat this process at all 4 corners. Attach free ends of top slings to crane hook. Please take care to not overcrowd the crane hook. Attach suitable lower slings and shackles to the bottom holes on the corner attachments. Attach them to the load to be lifted. The F55 spreader frame is compatible with the MGF T33 lifting tray that can help to safely lower plant and machinery into shafts and excavations. The center of gravity of the load must be calculated with the frame, and vertical slings arranged accordingly, to ensure a safe and even lift. Ensure a lifting plan and rams are in place and that the assembled spreader frame and lifting rig is thoroughly checked by a competent person prior to each lifting operation. A maximum of 3 spreader extensions can be used in any configuration, with potential for 0.25 meter increments depending on length. Sling to vertical angle, also known as STV, must be between 30 to 45 degrees. The lower slings cannot be rigged at more than a 6-degree angle. Position the longest spreader extensions in the center of the frame sides to avoid having a central bolted connection. Refer to the user guide for extension combinations. When using a spreader frame to lift a suspended load, the stability of the frame is dependent on the center of gravity of the total load, as well as the vertical height of the slings. Ideally, the suspension points should be as high up on the load as possible, so the center of gravity is below them. This will increase the overall stability. Stability will also be increased by increasing the vertical height of the slings. It is essential that the sling to vertical angles are within the correct range for the required working load limit. If the center of gravity is above the suspension points, then this will make the lift less stable, and increases the risk of the load tipping. It is advised that the vertical height of the slings be greater than the height of the center of gravity, above the suspension points. It is strongly recommended that a trial lift be conducted once the load is set up, lifting it just about ground level to ensure that it is stable. Before operatives use the equipment, they should read and understand these warnings. Do not exceed stated working load limit for each particular span. A slinger signaller or banksman should be appointed for the lift with plant exclusion zones. No persons should be in the vicinity of the lift, and the loads should not be suspended over occupied areas. When moving or positioning components or loads, use tag lines to control movement. Individual components can be heavy, and extreme care must be taken if manual handling. Check user manual for weights. Do not under any circumstances hang loads from spreader frames, other than at the corner attachments, as the frames are designed for axial compression, not bending. The equipment must be used in accordance with the procedures from Lifting Operations and Lifting Equipment Regulations 1998, LOLA. Operatives using this system should be suitably trained, competent, and have a clear understanding of safe slinging procedures. Individual lifting points are rated to 1,000 kilograms and must not be used to suspend any loads. They are for handling spreader frame components only. Prior to lifting a load with a spreader frame, there are several checks which should be done. Operator must ensure that there is suitable clearance to connect to the shackles. Inspect the slings prior to each lift. Ensure they are not twisted or tangled, ID tags are present, no broken or worn stitches, and there are no holes, tears, cuts or embedded material within the sling. Keep the loaded spreader frame clear of obstacles. Any contact could cause failure or accidental release of load. Ensure suitable shackles are attached to the top and bottom of the corner attachments. Ensure that the top sling lengths are suitable such that the frame does not tilt. Ensure that the center of gravity of the object being lifted is positioned underneath the master link. Each component needs to be checked prior to each lift. Consult MGF representative before lifting if you are unsure about any aspect of these rules.